There we go. Recording in progress for posterity.
I'm muted, which is the best way to give a presentation. Hello, everybody. Okay, so hi, I'm Ian Coldwater. I'm co-chair of SIG Security, and I like mutual aid, escaping containers, and eating pie.
I'm Tabitha Sable. I'm also a co-chair of SIG Security, but also a member of the Security Response Committee. And today I'm wearing the Security Response Committee ribbon in my hair. I'd love to build relationships between people and teams and to share the joy of hacking stuff.
We're here today because we got invited to talk about the Security Response Committee and SIG Security and what those respective groups do, when it is appropriate to interface with either or both of them, and generally speaking, what the similarities and differences are to help clarify kind of the different security apparatuses within the project to chairs and TLs who are interested in figuring out how to work with us to improve the security of the project.
So the Security Response Committee has a fairly small and clearly defined scope. We handle reported vulnerabilities in Kubernetes and security incidents that affect the project. We issue the formal public notifications of Kubernetes vulnerabilities, like we issue the CVEs, but nearly everything else that we do is private to help to protect the project and to protect our users.
SIG Security, on the other hand, has a wider scope, and we do things in public. SIG Security works in community to improve the security of the Kubernetes project as a whole. We engage internally within the project by helping facilitate collaboration across SIGs on security-related topics and maintaining project-wide security tooling to make all of our security lives easier. We also engage externally by working on security-relevant documentation for users, engaging with the larger security community, and doing outward-facing public comms. SIG Security does things a little bit differently than a lot of other SIGs. And I want to speak to that for a second. SIG Security has cultivated a culture of doing things in community as a community, and we've done that on purpose. We make decisions by community consensus, and we work really closely together with our subgroup leads and with community members. We don't have listed SIG membership. The members of the SIG are who comes to meetings and who brings their ideas and what they have to say. But as an organizational structure, such that we have one, although we tend to do things a little bit more informally, we do have subgroups and subgroup leads. So our three sub-projects are SIG Security Tooling, SIG Security Docs, and the third-party audit. So what those do respectively are SIG Security Tooling as a sub-project maintains project-wide tooling such as container scanning to help improve developer experience and security stuff for people working on the project internally. Also works with SIG Release to work on release tooling security stuff. What SIG Security Docs does is maintains and improves security relevant documentation that's user facing, and they work closely with SIG Docs to do that. What the third-party audit subgroup does is coordinate the periodic third-party security audits of Kubernetes with outside pen testing firms. So they do the request for proposals, work with the vendors, and then work to make sure that those audits happen. SIG Security has also been helping projects such as Cluster API do security self-assessments, which helps improve the security of the cloud-native ecosystem as a whole. Another thing that SIG Security does is we have public meetings every 2 weeks that are an open forum for discussion on security topics. And work gets done in these meetings as such, among other things. One thing that SIG Security does is we help coordinate and draft KEPs for security improvements that often involve working with and collaborating with other SIGs because we are all together as one larger project, and so people are going to have to work together on the different bits of the things relevant to those KEPs. We also triage security related issues as a group together. So if SIG Security is tagged in things, it isn't just me and Tabby holing up in somebody's basement. It is working on that on a community-wide basis. And in general, people bring what they have to say. If they have specific security concerns, if they have things that they have thoughts on, if they're really burning to have something that they really want to improve, we can help them figure out if that makes sense to write as a KEP and who to talk to about it. We discuss what they have to say, we hear out their ideas, and we act on it if it makes sense to do that. This is an inflow for folks from the external community to come and interact with the Kubernetes project and security relevant interests. And it is also a way for people within the project to come and talk about the things that are affecting their work that are security relevant and get help and communicate about those. The way that SIG Security does things on a community basis and the environment that we've created around that helps encourage new contributors, grow new leaders, and raise awareness of Kubernetes security among the larger community.
The Security Response Committee, unsurprisingly, for a small organization that works in private, does quite a bit less to bring in new contributors and that sort of thing, because we have very specific jobs that are almost always handling, radioactively sensitive information in the appropriate ways to the appropriate people at the appropriate times. If you have been around Kubernetes for a while, you are probably more familiar with the PSC. That stood for Product Security Committee, and it was our previous name. But product was kind of misleading and kind of confusing, especially given that Kubernetes is itself the upstream basis of a lot of vendor products from various cloud native vendors. And so we recently were renamed in order to be more accurately reflective of what we do, which is respond to security related incidents. And a committee is the Kubernetes functional unit for work that needs to be done by a small group in private. So we triage and see through to completion security issues within Kubernetes. So if there is a security incident affecting Kubernetes, like, I don't know, for example, if some of the CI infrastructure were harmed, then we would be sort of the first point of contact there for coordinating incident response for those sorts of things. And we take in vulnerability notifications from a couple of different areas. We run the Kubernetes bug bounty program through HackerOne, where folks outside of Kubernetes community can bring issues that they have discovered through, through research, through throwing weird data at Kubernetes, through, bits of insight in the shower, however you come up with new ways to break things. They can share that with us through HackerOne and earn rewards for sharing that with us. We handle the security@kubernetes.io email, which is another way that you can notify us of an issue or of a potential issue. And then we track those internally, coordinate the appropriate follow-ups. So, assemble teams to fix the issues or whatever, and see those through until they're released. So yeah, a lot of this data is necessarily quite private, because of the need to keep known vulnerabilities that do not have fixes yet in a confined space for safety, so that then we can notify the community later when there is an appropriate fix or mitigation available. So sometimes those fixes are done purely in private, in close coordination with the appropriate release teams. Sometimes those fixes are of a certain flavor, so that rather they can have the fix put in place in public and then announced at an appropriate time as being a fix for a security issue. And sometimes certain kinds of low severity issues are simply moved into public GitHub issues and fixed like any other bug. And generally we coordinate all of those. So if you're unsure, like if you're thinking something about Kubernetes security and you're unsure whether it might be sensitive or it might be a vulnerability, come and ask us about it first. We will be more than happy to handle it through our private procedures if that's necessary. We're also more than happy to say, you know, that sounds like it would be a good topic to bring up at the SIG security meeting, or that sounds like it would be a fine thing to file a normal public GitHub issue on, or whatever. We're more than happy to help you figure out sort of what is the severity and privateness of something that you have on your mind. You want to talk about a couple of examples, Ian?
Zoom is hard. So here are some examples of you know, who you might want to call upon in specific situations, because part of the reason why we're doing this thing here is that we realize that it might not always be 100% clear. So we came up with a few. One of them is if a Kubernetes core feature is letting you do something that it obviously shouldn't. So like if you find a flaming security bug, holler at the SRC, file a bug on hackerone.com/Kubernetes if you're comfortable doing that.
If the feature seems like it's working as intended, but it smells like something's wrong, or like maybe there was some misunderstanding at design time that has caused there to be some security relevant behavior that perhaps wasn't realized, please come and talk to the SRC first. Sometimes those things do become security issues that should be fixed through the private process. Other times they make more sense to file as a public issue, and we're happy to help you suss out the difference between the two of those.
So if you email security at k8s.io, the SRC will help direct you either to the vulnerability intake process via the SRC, or will tell you to go talk to SIG security or other SIGs, depending on what's appropriate. If you want to know who else is working on or thinking about a given Kubernetes security problem, SIG security is a great place to go on that. Or if generally speaking, you have kind of ideas about collaboration around security relevant topics with your SIG, or something that you think should be happening across SIG, SIG security is a great place to bring that to. We have a very active Slack channel where discussions happen, or come say hello to us at a meeting, because discussions happen there too and are often reflected on Slack as well. Our meetings purposely have very loose agendas, and because that's how we roll. And if you see not particularly an agenda on the meeting, that does not mean that nothing is happening. It just means that people are going to bring what they're going to bring.
And to sort of jump off from and amplify that, the SIG security meeting agenda document is something that you can edit. And so if there is something that is important to you that you really wish to bring to the attention of the folks who come to the SIG security meeting, you know, feel free to put that on the agenda document. It is our space for us to share and work together, and you are part of us. So to kind of wrap this up, sort of the key takeaways here, one that is really helpful for both groups is make sure to keep your owners files and security contacts files up to date, especially for the SRC, where there are very fine-grained owners over different specific parts of the code base. When we are triaging vulnerability reports, we usually have enough familiarity with the code to know vaguely in the code where the kinds of issues would be, but we're clearly not experts on everything. We can't tell how to fix everything. And so the security contacts and the code owners files are very, very helpful for the SRC for that. For SIG security, usually it's more a matter of knowing which other SIG to talk to. So they are not quite as critical for SIG security, but they are, for the same reasons as the SRC, another valuable piece of information that we can chase down to find out who knows about a thing, who can talk to somebody about a thing. Other important takeaway, when the Security Response Committee comes calling, please help us try to staff the fix teams for bugs. When we are coming to report something, that's because we have learned about it, and it's scary, and it has the ability to affect or potentially harm our users. And our users are why we're all here. And so, we will, when necessary, come and ask for help putting the group together that can fix a bug. And just expect that. Like, we're coming because we want to help to keep everybody safe.
And when SIG security comes calling, it will, generally speaking, that will be a more casual call. But I think what we are looking for is, we are looking for folks to collaborate with. So when SIG security comes hollering at you, or really to you, we're trying to find people to collaborate with us or with another SIG that is looking for help getting unblocked on working across SIGs with other folks on some security relevant issues. So, we are here to try to help facilitate working together and people working across different parts of the project. So, we're all here in a spirit of collaboration and community, and that's what we're asking for as SIG security. We really appreciate y'all taking the 16 minutes or whatever to listen to us talk about it, and we are here for questions. Thank y'all very much.
Yeah, thank you so much. Go ahead and hit stop, Alison.
Yeah, I'm going to hit that stop, but thank you very much for presenting, Ian and Tabitha. It's great listening and learning more about what SIG security does, and I'm gonna hit the stop button right now. Yes, I want to stop recording. Come on.